Hey everybody, this is Brogi Naric back again with another review, and today I'm talking about Bad Times at the El Royale, directed by Drew Goddard. Um, this is a really good movie. I really enjoyed it. I hadn't heard about it until over the summer when I saw Hotel Artemis and they had the trailer for it, and I was like, the trailer was really good, the first trailer, and I liked the cast that they had, and my only problem was it looks really good. I hope the story doesn't suck. And I have to say, after seeing the movie, it looks really good and the story doesn't suck. So this was a really awesome movie. Um, it's not much I can say in terms of non-spoilers, because I would have to, really to talk about what the story is, I would have to get into spoilers. But I want to say it's well casted, it's well acted, and it's well directed. Because Drew Goddard, I'm not familiar with most of his movies, but this was a phenomenal movie. I would have to say it's sort of like it's closer to a Tarantino film. If you're into Quentin Tarantino, I think you would really enjoy this film. So it's like this is one of the best Tarantino impersonations I've seen in a while. Because usually when people try to do his style, it doesn't work, and it's not fully Tarantino style, but it's definitely influenced by Tarantino, but it's still its own unique thing. It's sort of like a little bit like The Hateful Eight in terms of it's like a Agatha Christie sort of mystery where random people come together in one place and then some craziness happens and everyone's stories are kind of intertwined in an interesting way. And that's essentially what this movie is. But it's not very dark. Unlike a Tarantino film, it's not super violent and it's not super funny either. This is not if you're thinking this movie's going to be a comedy, it's really not. There's jokes in it, but it's not like a dark comedy. It's really not. The El Royale is a hotel that's on the state line between California and Nevada. There's certain things that you can do in Nevada that you can't do in California. Like in Nevada, you can't drink. In California, you can. But Nevada lost its gambling license, and so that's the main gimmick of the hotel. You can choose where you want to stay in the rooms in Nevada or the rooms in California. There's not that much difference between them, although the rooms in California are like $1 more than the rooms in Nevada because they're in California. That's really the only reason why. But that's the gimmick of the hotel. There's no true main character, but one of the closest is Darlene Sweet, who's played by Cynthia Erivo, who is a singer who's coming to the hotel. We also have Jeff Bridges, who is a priest named Father Flynn, which I realize is a nod to his character from Tron, who was named Flynn as well. Or at least I hope it's a nod to that, because that's immediately what I thought when I heard the name Father Flynn. We have Jon Hamm, who's he's a salesman named Laramie Seymour Sullivan, and Jon Hamm was really awesome, especially when he first appears in the movie. He's just going a mile a minute, and his character is pretty fun. We also have Dakota Johnson, who plays Emily, who is basically a hippie, and then there's Miles Miller, played by Lewis Pullman, who is the bellhop essentially at this hotel, and Miles Miller, Lewis Pullman is the MVP of this movie, and he's like, by the end of it, he was my favorite character, and he goes through some things, and basically, like I said, the story is their lives intertwining, and it leads to a much bigger thing that's going out. It goes a big overarching story. I can't really get into the details, but it's a crime drama. It's a slow build. It's not fast paced. There is violence and action, but it's not the entire film. It's spread throughout. And Chris Hemsworth also is in the movie. If you can tell by the trailers, he's basically playing the Charles Manson type, but he's like a sexy Charles Manson, and he's awesome. He's Chris. I was worried about Chris Hemsworth, but he killed it. He killed it in this film. His character's called Billy Lee, and he's basically a cult leader. And he comes in at some point. I can't say exactly for what reasons, but he's really good. And that's the main like in terms of non-spoilers, that's the main things I can say. Like I said, the acting was great, the direction was great, the music, the soundtrack, because this movie is I believe takes place in the early 70s, like 71, 72. So there's a lot of 60s music throughout, and it's played very well. It's very good. Can't go wrong with that. Um, Other things besides, I would say, if, like I said, if you like Tarantino, if you like these actors, if you like a crime thriller or a crime drama, if you like there's good dialogue. Unlike, like I say, like with a Tarantino, the dialogue is not the most humorous or the most snappy or attention getting like Tarantino's, but it is good and it's acted very well. Um, I really want to just get into spoilers. So if I would have to grade it, I would give this a B. I would definitely give this movie a B or a 10 out, with an 8 out of 10. Yeah, about an 8 out of 10. Some of the things, like I said, it goes on a bit long. It's not. Let's see, some problems. There's nothing that mainly jumps out at me because the story is very interesting and you don't know where it's going. That's why I want to keep it light, because if I say too much, it's going to kind of ruin the story. I want you to just go there and watch it, because there are some twists and there are some turns, but there's nothing. There's nothing that's like. There's no big twist that's like, oh, I didn't see that coming, but it's still very well done story. So that's my quick non-spoiler review of this film. But now I'm gonna have to get into spoilers. If you want to know more, stay around for spoilers. Okay, so spoilers. We everyone meets up at the hotel, and they're introduced to Miles Miller, who is not only is he the bellhop, but he's like the only person who is running this hotel, because over time the hotel was popular. But everyone meets up. They go to them. You got the singer, hippie, priest, and vacuum cleaner salesman. Turns out Jon Hamm isn't actually a vacuum cleaner salesman. He's an FBI agent who's on a mission. They don't really explain what his mission is, but he's the one who does most of the investigation into what's going on at the hotel. As you can see in the trailer, there's some hidden mirrors in each room, two-way mirrors in each room, but there also are bugs hidden throughout all of the rooms. And Jon Hamm, being an agent, he goes through, he finds one bug, and then he finds another bug, and he finds all these other bugs in the room. So as he's going through room to room, he sees Jeff Bridges' character, who is a priest, but in actuality he's a criminal. He was a bank robber, and the reason he's at the hotel is because 10 years ago, him, his brother, and some other people robbed an armored truck. They got split up. The brother, who is played by Nick Offerman, aka Ron Swanson, hides the money in the floorboards of one of the rooms. So Jeff Bridges, after he's gotten out of prison, is trying to get the money back, but he has a so like he has dementia, so he has bad memory, so he's not sure which room it's in. Then the girl, she's just a singer. She's there because she has a job in Reno, but it's easier to stay at this hotel as opposed to going to Reno's, or it's cheaper, so she's gonna stay here. Then Dakota Johnson, Jon Hamm sees that she has a person. She's kidnapped this little girl, and so Jon Hamm is a little concerned about that. But J. Edgar Hoover tells him, "Don't worry about that. It's not important." So that's their thing. The singer and Jeff Bridges' character get close, and they're hanging out in the bar. And also Jon Hamm finds out that the guy, Miles, he's a junkie. He's a heroin junkie. The guy that's like in charge of the place. And he asked him, "What the hell is all of this?" And he's like, "Look, management records people because that's just what they do. It's basically they record people and they, I guess, blackmail people as well, but they keep information on very powerful people, because this used to be a very popular hotel. So senators, musicians, celebrities, all of that type of stuff. So that's basically what they do. And Jon Hamm is there for some reason. I think he's trying to find some. I believe they didn't expressly say it, but then I think about it, I believe he was there to find some footage. So Jeff Bridges and the singer, they get close, but then she knocks him out because he was about to about to drug her. He was trying to get her to drink, and he tries to drug her. So she knocks him out. Then that goes back to Dakota Johnson's character, Emily, who has this girl who's tied up. Jon Hamm was told not to get involved, but he does because, he's a good guy. And so Dakota Johnson ends up killing Jon Hamm because he was trying to free the girl, and she shoots him with she had a pistol and she had a hunting rifle, and she shoots him with the hunting rifle. But at the time she shot him in front of the mirror, and Miles, the bellhop, or the guy who's running the hotel, was standing by the mirror at the time, so he gets buckshot in the face. He gets some glass in the face, and Jon Hamm is dead. And we find out that the little girl is actually her sister, who she's trying to save, because her sister and her were part of Chris Hemsworth, his cult. And throughout the movie, there's some showing on TV, there's some news on TV that there was a murder, that it was I think it was a doctor and his wife were killed in Malibu. And they're looking for the people who had killed them. And basically you find out that it was the sister was one of the people who had killed them, because she was part of Chris Hemsworth's cult. And he's basically Charles Manson, and it's sort of like a play on the Manson family murders. So Dakota is she was part of the cult, but she was only there to save her sister, because her sister, who is like I think her sister's probably about 14 of 13 maybe. She's like full in on this court, and she's actually in love with Chris Hemsworth's character, and he's also in love with her because he's a fucking perv and pedophile. So once she was freed by Jon Hamm, and Dakota was checking out the hidden corridor behind the mirror, she gets on the phone and she calls Hemsworth and tells him where she's at. So he's on his way to come get her. In the meantime, the singer saw all of this going down, and before all of that, the priest and Miles were hanging out, because Miles found out Jeff Bridges was knocked out on the ground, and he doesn't remember anything. Then we find out that he has dementia, and he really has trouble remembering things. But he meets back up with the singer, and he tells her about the money. He's like, I was looking for the money in the floorboards. It wasn't in my room, but I think it's in your room. So if we can work together, because we can't leave, because Jon Hamm disabled the cars, because it was his mission to not let anyone leave. But he's like, if we can disable the cars, get the money, fix the car, and then we can get the hell out of here, it would be a lot easier, as opposed to you leaving by yourself, being a black woman, and the police happen to see you running around in the woods with a gun, knowing that there's a dead cop back at the hotel. Well, they don't know he's an FBI agent. They think he's a cop. So they do their little thing to sneak the money out, but it is in her room. But by the time they get the money out, that's when Chris Hemsworth and his squad shows up, and they hold everyone hostage. So then that's when all the intensity comes in. And the movie, I forgot to mention, but like a Tarantino film, it's kind of got the different chapters throughout the movie. So like one part of the movie will focus on room 1, which was Jon Hamm. Then it will focus on room 4, which was Jeff Bridges. Room 5, I believe, was the singer. And then I think room 6 or so was Dakota Johnson's room. So it's sort of like in chapters like that. And then there's a chapter for Billy Lee where they explain more about Chris Hemsworth's character. And that's what I like about this movie, that everyone gets a good amount of screen time to actually kind of flesh out their character. It's not like someone just drops in and you know nothing about them. They give you time to flesh out each character. And so Hemsworth is being a dick, and he what was the thing? He was playing Russian roulette with Miles and Dakota Johnson's character, and he gets her to pick a color, and she's like, I don't want to do it, but he like threatens her, so she's like, all right, I'll pick red. So he's like, okay, that makes Miles is black, because he wanted information. That was the weird thing. He wanted to know what was going on. He didn't really need to know, but he was just fucking with them, and he wanted to know where did the money come from and all of this. And Jeff Bridges wouldn't tell him, but he knows, he's smart enough to know that Jeff Bridges isn't actually a priest. So he knows he's lying to him. But anyway, Dakota Johnson loses, so he shoots her, and she's dead. That's the thing. They're not afraid to drop bodies in this movie. If you think somebody is going to survive, except for 2 people in particular, but everybody else is up for grabs. So she's dead, and then he's gonna tries to do the same thing with Jeff Bridges and the singer, but they don't fall for it. But he does explain that he's not actually a priest, which is a blow to Miles, because Miles really looked up to Jeff Bridges because he wanted to repent for all the bad things he's done in his life, because he's recorded people, he's done a lot of bad things. He's also, like I said, he's also a junkie. So Jeff Bridges, not only was he going to steal the money, he was going to steal this particular tape. Now, they don't say who's on the tape, but it's kind of heavily alluded that it's JFK, but they don't actually say it's JFK. They just say it was someone who was famous, who's been dead, but they would pay a lot of money for this. And it was also explained why J. Edgar Hoover was trying to get this footage as well. So I'm assuming it was JFK. Or it could have been Nixon, but the fact that they said it was someone who's already dead, I'm pretty sure it was JFK. Or, well, yeah, mainly, most likely JFK. So they were about to do the Russian roulette thing again, but Jeff Bridges headbutts Chris Hemsworth, and because they're all tied up, but he like quickly jumps up and headbutts Chris Hemsworth, and they get into a fight, and they roll over through like one of the fire furnaces, the fireplaces, and the singer takes out the other shooter, like leans back on her and pushes over the table, so they have they have something blocking them from the bullets. So Miles is freaking out, and he's still injured, but he's sitting there, and he's right near the gun. He can get free and grab the gun, but he doesn't want to. And the singer's like, grab the gun and shoot him. And he's just sitting there like, I don't want to kill any more people. And he's just freaking. He's like, I don't want to kill any more people. And then you're like, wait, kill any more people? And she's like, how many people did you kill? And he's like, 100. I think he's like 123. Then you get into his backstory, which I thought was going to be a lot longer, but it kind of just pops in. But he was in Vietnam, and he was a really good shot, and he killed a lot of fucking people in Vietnam. And I'm assuming he also killed some people working at the hotel. But Miles was a badass. So eventually she's like, look, okay, if you don't want to kill anyone, you don't have to kill anyone. But Jeff Bridges is beating up Chris Hemsworth. Well, they're having a pretty good fight. And if you're wondering how can old Jeff Bridges fight young, fit Chris Hemsworth, they do explain that Jeff Bridges was a badass in his younger years, and he's gotten into a lot of fights throughout in prison. So they make it believable that Jeff Bridges is a small guy anyway, so they make it believable that he can kind of hold his own against Chris Hemsworth. But basically, he loses. Chris Hemsworth was about to shoot him, but then he gets shot in the head by Miles, and then Miles shoots the other guy that was with him, and then he shoots the girl. She hides behind the sofa, but he just shoots through the sofa and kills her. Then he goes outside to kill the other guys that were looking for more people at the hotel, and he snipes them. And then the little sister, who, like I said, is in love with Chris Hemsworth, is upset, and she goes up to him, and she's like holding the body, and then Miles picks her up, and then she's holding the body. Miles is behind her. He's like, I'm sorry, I really didn't want to kill him. And then she turns around, stabs him, and she stabs him and kills Miles. Then she turns around about to go after them, but then Jeff Bridges shoots the girl. So after all of that, and then the place is like on fire, and they're like, fuck it, let's get out of here. Well, before that, Miles is dying, and the girl's like, save Miles, and he's like, I don't know what to do. I'm not a doctor, but she's like, save him. So he, absolves him of his sins, and he's like, but you're not even a real priest. He was like, it's okay, like, you're gonna be all right. And so they get the money, they burn the footage, and they get the fuck out of there. And so they burn the ledger with all the names on it, and they just get out of there. And then the movie ends with the singer in Reno, and Jeff Bridges shows up to see her, and that's pretty much the end of the movie. It's like I said, it was a fun. I enjoyed it. It was a fun time, and I thought it was really good, well directed, well acted, intense, and the action was good. Like I said, Chris Hemsworth was really great. Like, if you just think of him as goofy Thor, this is like another side of his acting muscles that he really flexed. And Jon Hamm was great. I thought he was gonna be my favorite character, but then he got killed like pretty early in the film. Not super early, but like I said, it was like the beginning of the second act by the time he was gone. And by the end of it, the character who I didn't think was gonna be my favorite character, Miles, turned out to be a fucking badass, and he was awesome. So, and everyone else was great too. So, really enjoyed this film. Check it out. I don't think it's gonna do that well at theaters because some people are skeptical of it, but I like I said, I really enjoyed it. But that's really all I have to say for now. So, if you like this video, don't forget to like and share this. Leave some comments. Let me know what you thought about the film, and look at the other videos on this screen. Thanks for watching, and peace.